Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating and often overlooked chapter of American history. The title might sound like a grand conspiracy, but what we're actually exploring is a powerful, hidden network of individuals whose bold ideas and secret collaborations fundamentally shaped the United States. This isn't about smoke-filled rooms and shadowy figures in the typical sense. It's about the very real and very human story of how a revolution was born and a nation was built, often behind closed doors. Let's set the stage. It's the mid-18th century. The American colonies are buzzing with new ideas, but they're also groaning under the weight of British rule. Taxes are piling up, freedoms are being curtailed, and a sense of discontent is simmering just beneath the surface. But how does widespread frustration turn into a coordinated revolution? It doesn't happen by accident. It happens through communication, organization, and a shared vision. This is where our hidden network comes into play. Long before the first shots were fired at Lexington and Concord, a web of communication was being woven across the 13 colonies. At the heart of this network were groups like the Sons of Liberty and the Committees of Correspondence. You've probably heard of them, but we often underestimate just how crucial they were. These weren't just casual clubs, they were sophisticated political action groups. Think about it. In an era without email, social media, or even a reliable postal service, how do you organize a boycott in Boston that's supported by merchants in Charleston? How do you make sure that a protest in Philadelphia inspires similar actions in New York? You do it through secret letters, coded messages, and trusted couriers who risked everything to carry information from one colony to the next. Men like Samuel Adams, John Hancock, and Paul Revere were master organizers. They weren't just passionate patriots, they were brilliant strategists. They understood the power of information and public opinion. They used newspapers, pamphlets, like Thomas Paine's explosive Common Sense, and even tavern gossip to spread the message of liberty and unite a diverse and scattered population against a common enemy. This was the intellectual and logistical engine of the revolution, working quietly in the background to lay the groundwork for independence. Now, let's fast forward to after the Revolutionary War. The Articles of Confederation, America's first attempt at a government, were failing. The young nation was weak, broke, and on the verge of collapse. The dream of a united republic seemed to be slipping away. Officially, the plan was to hold a convention in Philadelphia in 1787 to simply amend the Articles. But a core group of influential leaders had a much more radical idea. This is the second phase of our hidden conspiracy. Figures like James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and George Washington knew that tweaking the Articles wasn't enough. They believed the country needed a brand new, powerful federal government. They began corresponding and meeting in secret long before the Philadelphia Convention, drafting ideas and building a coalition. James Madison, often called the father of the Constitution, arrived in Philadelphia weeks early with a detailed plan already in his pocket, the Virginia Plan. This was a high-stakes gamble. They were essentially planning to overthrow their own government, peacefully and intellectually. The debates at the Constitutional Convention were held in absolute secrecy. The windows of Independence Hall were nailed shut during a sweltering summer to prevent anyone from eavesdropping. Delegates were sworn to secrecy, understanding that if their radical proposals leaked, the entire project could be derailed by public outcry and political opposition. What they were conspiring to do was create a republic with a strong central government, a president, a bicameral legislature, and an independent judiciary. This was a revolutionary concept, and many Americans were deeply suspicious of centralized power, fearing it would become another form of monarchy. The delegates knew they had to forge a consensus in private before they could ever hope to sell it to the public. Once the Constitution was drafted, the final and most public phase of their plan began: the ratification process. The conspiracy now had to come out into the open, and it immediately faced massive opposition from a group that came to be known as the Anti-Federalists. They argued that the new Constitution was a threat to individual liberties and state sovereignty. So, how did the Federalists win? Through one of the most brilliant public relations campaigns in history. The Federalist Papers. This collection of 85 essays, written anonymously by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay, under the pseudonym Publius, was a masterclass in political persuasion. They systematically broke down every part of the proposed Constitution, explaining its logic, defending its structure, and reassuring a skeptical public that this new government was designed to protect, not destroy, their freedom. These essays were printed in newspapers across the country, shaping the debate and slowly winning over hearts and minds. It was a battle of ideas, fought in the public square. The Federalists combined their well-organized political network with powerful, persuasive arguments to secure ratification, often by the narrowest of margins in key states. They didn't just write a new rule book for the country, they convinced a deeply divided populace to accept it. So, when we say a hidden conspiracy built America, we're not talking about something sinister. We're talking about the unglamorous behind-the-scenes work of nation-building. It was a conspiracy of hope, a conspiracy of intellect, and a conspiracy of shared ideals. It was the secret letters between patriots that sparked a revolution. It was the private debates in a locked room that forged a constitution. And it was the power of anonymous essays that convinced a nation to take a leap of faith into a new future. This story shows us that history is often made not just on the battlefield, but in the quiet correspondence between friends, in the secret meetings of visionaries, and in the courageous arguments for a better future. The United States wasn't just declared into existence, it was meticulously planned, fiercely debated, and brilliantly engineered by a network of people who dared to conspire to create a new kind of nation. It's a powerful reminder that collaboration and a shared vision can truly change the world. What do you think? Were these founding fathers brilliant strategists? Or did they overstep their authority? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this dive into history as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more stories that explore the hidden corners of our past. We'll see you in the next video.